Joe Fay here at the Toledo's oldest vintage checker car collection. 3 pristine vintage checker taxi cabs and 1 junker in the back. So let's take a quick view of all these cars and I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on. So up first we have a 1957 Checker Drivermatic Special Model A8 taxi cab, done up in green and ivory Chicago checker cab livery. This car originally was owned by the Rothschild family out in Oakland, California. Bill Rothschild was an executive for Yellow Cab operations from Seattle to San Diego. This car was picked up in 1957 as a test vehicle. Failed miserably, I understand, for Mr. Rothschild on the hills of San Francisco. The Continental Six just wasn't up to taking those big steep hills with a 4,000 pound car. Wound up, actually, Mr. Rothschild took this car, made it his own, and eventually passed it on to the Volunteers of America as a charity. That was then sold to Ben Merkel, who sold it to me. So theoretically, I'm the third owner. Great car, fun time driving it. Lots of nice convenience package items. Power brakes, power steering, automatic transmission, and nice runner. I can get this thing up to 65 miles per hour. Just not too good on hills, as are any checkers. Next we have the 1949 Checker Model A3. The A3 was actually a personal family pleasure car that Checker introduced in '49. It had a full bench seat and a trunk. However, this car was actually sold to a gentleman in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and it was actually put into taxi cab operation. It was actually originally painted green and yellow. I've had it 12, 13, well, almost 14 years now. It was rusty and a mess when I got it, and you can see we've brought it up to a new standard. I just sold it, but I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But great car, beautiful lines, designed by Raymond Dietrich of LeBaron car fame. Just great lines. A lot of people think it has a General Motors look to it or a Cadillac look. It does, although Mr. Dietrich said he never copied other designs. There's a lot of GM in this, but there's no single GM part on this car. Here we have the 1950 Checker Model A4. This is a former New York City car, former taxi cab. This is painted actually in the correct livery that it was painted while it was in service, including the correct rate card for 1950. This has an interesting story. This car ultimately wound up in 1956 being purchased by MGM Lowe's Pictures, and it was a movie car used in several movies. The Catered Affair, Slander was another film it was in, also Designing Women. The car's been really restored nicely. I have a ball with this car. This is a keeper. I'm gonna most likely die with this one. And then in the back we have the junker, and we haven't picked this thing clean. There's still some good parts on it, but I did sell this as well with the A3, so this will be leaving soon. And you can see it's an original New York City cab, also in its original green and yellow configuration. This one actually has the Checker logo. There we go. Has the Checker logo on the trunk. This one over here doesn't. I took the luggage rack too off of this and put it on the A4. This also has the rear window that opens up. So the 1 year separates this 1949 Checker Model A3 to this 1950 Checker Model A4. And on the surface they look very similar, almost identical. But in reality they are actually very different automobiles. I'll show you a couple quick things to indicate how they're different. Every body panel is different. Notice the pontoons on this versus the pontoon on this. They're different. The front fenders are actually different. Has a larger wheel opening. This has more of a unique oblong opening. The doors are different. There's about a 2-inch difference in window openings. So this car has a gap from the top down to the belt line and that unique chrome strip, whereas this has a smaller gap and a larger window. So that's different. The rear windows are different. Again, look at the rear window here, which actually opens up. Versus this smaller window. I have to thank Hanu in Finland for land, and a couple of other folks, Sami Lucia and Mika. These guys in Finland really helped source a lot of the parts for this car. And in North America, this is it. This is all you're going to see in terms of these vintage Checkers. This is the entire fleet in North America. They're through the Helsinki transaction of the early 1950s. There are actually more Checker Model A2s and 3s in Finland than here in the United States. And great Finland club of Checker enthusiasts were very helpful in restoring this car. The trunk is different. Notice this trunk has the outside mounted hinges, and as well it's a square opening, whereas this has internally mounted hinges, and then this is a round curved trunk. So a lot of subtle differences. The bumpers are different. These are very ornate, big, almost Cadillac-esque bumpers versus these somewhat puny, basically 1947 Chevy pickup bumpers. Another big thank you goes out to my old neighbor Mark and again the Finland guys for sourcing all the components to actually fabricate a new seat. So we had a wooden template came in from overseas in pieces, and then my buddy Mark Carpenter built actually a new frame, and then Riggs Brothers in Chicago upholstered it. Came out real nice. So as we